All right. Chapter 13, text 28. Go ahead, Match.
Samam sarvesu bhutesu tishtantam parameshwaram vinasyatasva avinasyantam yah pasyati sa pasyati. One who sees a super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed actually sees.
Next.
Text 29. Samam pasyan hi sarvatra samavatistam ishwaram na hinasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. One who sees a super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
One more time, Matthew, translation.
Text 29. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination.
Okay. Next.
Prakritaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasaha yah pasyati tatatmanam akartaram sapasyati. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees.
One who can see all the activities performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Okay. Next, Matthew.
Text 31. Yada bhuta prathak bhavam ekastam anupasyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
Okay. All right. We'll go all the way back. Thank you much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, okay, let's go actually a step back to last week. One who sees a super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the structural body is ever destroyed actually sees. Anyone who by good association can see three things combined together: the body, the proprietor of the body, or the individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, that the super soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless one has association of a real knower of spiritual objects, one cannot see these three things. So unless we even know, like most of us, most people don't even know super soul, soul, are there, right? We think we are this body, that's it. So one has to even have the knowledge to see things as it is. As my early on in my Krishna consciousness, one of the learnings I had was to see every being as a temple of God, which really helped me create a sense of respect for life. Because sometimes we see it's a tree, so I can kick it, no problem. Or it's a mosquito, I can just pat it, no problem. Or it's a poor person, I can just ignore and move on, no problem, right? Or it's a drunkard, I can just ignore and maybe step on that person and no problem. So we have this thing about discounting life. We see differences. So here, the spiritual conception of life is being given by Krishna, where we see the divinity in all living entities. And that divinity comes just like when we pass in front of a temple, we offer our respects. At least many people do that, right? We might not enter the temple, but we know there's a temple and there's a deity of God. So we offer our respects moving there. So similarly, every person has Paramatma inside, right? Like the computers back in the days would say Intel inside. So it's kind of like that, Paramatma inside. So because Paramatma inside, so that every body, every being is holy, is divine. Now there might be crooks by activities, by behavior. So we don't go hug them. We might maintain our distance based on the superficial differences. But at the core, everyone is divine, part and parcel of the Supreme Divine, right? Supreme Lord Krishna. So when we see the world that way, we tend to be a lot more careful how we treat others. Now, this connects to a lot bigger picture. If you think about it, we talk about global warming, environment, saving water, saving electricity, being conscious about natural resources. All of this comes into perspective when we realize everything belongs to Krishna. I am part and parcel of Krishna. My future generations are part and parcel of Krishna. I shouldn't waste resources so that it causes trouble to people coming in the future generations. I shouldn't take resources that it causes trouble to people around me. So the point is, a Krishna conscious way of looking at the world automatically makes us environmentally friendly, automatically makes us conscientious for the things that all these protesters are protesting about. Prabhupada used to call it spiritual communism. In communist idea, the process is everything belongs to the state. So everything should, be used for the state. The Krishna conscious idea, the spiritual communism, is everything belongs to Krishna. So everything should be protected, maintained, sustained, and utilized for the service of the Supreme Lord. So with this consciousness, one would be careful to save resources, to be kind to others, to be compassionate, to be respectful, to not cause undue harm, to not discount other living beings based on they being on a lower status, socioeconomic status, or whatever other status might be, right? That idea goes away when we start seeing from the lens of Krishna consciousness, that there is super soul within this person also. I can't just ignore and move away. Does that make sense? Does anybody want to ask any questions just on that concept itself? Because we're getting deeper into this topic, so I just wanted to kind of pause and see if this makes sense to everyone. Okay, if this makes sense, then we will. Can I at least get a thumbs up from most of you so you know you're listening, because I can't see your faces? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, you're all in agreement. Now moving on to the next verse. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. Right? So, sees the equality of all beings. The living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than his spiritual existence. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living being, he does not degrade himself by destructive mentality. Now, I'll give you a word of caution. This is true that Super Soul is within everyone, and we should have respect for all beings. Having said that, there is a cautionary statement. This is known to non-devotees as well. So sometimes you might be taken in for taking advantage of, right? So the respect sometimes is external, while internal, sometimes it's only internal and not external. For example, in my immature state of Krishna consciousness, not saying I'm mature now, but even less mature state of Krishna consciousness, I used to treat my employees, my colleagues, people who are hierarchically lower than me, I would treat them equally. Some people could take that, some people couldn't. and they took advantage of that fact. As a result, I had to create and a persona that is a little bit more intimidating. Unfortunately, now people find it difficult to be friends with me because they find my personality intimidating, because I've kind of evolved into that, because when I'm friendly, I'm taken advantage of, right? Now, internally, I'm still that childlike, simple, friendly person. I am. But in my work environment, I can't let people see that, because then there always comes this demand. Sir, more salary. Sir, more this. Can I have a little holiday? Oh, my girlfriend is leaving. Can I go for this and that? Initially, I would say yes, yes, yes. And I'm seeing my business suffering as a result. So I can't let that happen. So I have to be Karus, right? So now in that case, am I not seeing super soul within their hearts? Absolutely, I am. I will bring prasadam for them. I will help them spiritually. I'll give them the opportunity to learn Krishna consciousness. But when it comes to work, I need my work done. And for that, I might have to be the strict boss, right? And that is important. In case of women, a lot of times, friendly women, unfortunately, give the indication to men that they're available, and then there is flirtatious activities, and then there is something else and something else. Well, you were smiling at me. Yeah, I was smiling at you. That doesn't mean I'm giving you the right to, cross your boundaries. So these are certain examples where, although we know super soul is within everyone, internally we respect everyone, externally we maintain a slight barrier, a little bit of distance, just to make sure that we are not taken advantage of. This is not a bad thing. Please understand that, right? Again, now sometimes, because we are not pure devotees, what happens is we get lost in this dichotomy, right? I'm trying to be thinking here is super soul within this person, at the same time treating the person the way they should be treated. And then I'm either here or here. When I'm treating that way, I might become exploitative and forget super soul is within. Or when I'm thinking super soul is within, I might become too naive. So it takes a little bit of practice to do both. Internally respect, I will not cause harm to the person. I will correct the behavior, not hurt the person, right? So for example, if I'm saying, Yogesh, you're such a fool. Now I'm directly attacking your intelligence. That'll make you feel horrible. But if I say, Yogesh, what you did was very foolish. I know you're more intelligent than that. Make sure next time you don't do something so dumb. Do you see the difference? It's correcting the behavior versus blaming the person. One is saying you are horrible, forgetting super souls within. The other one is you did something that should be corrected. And I'm just focusing on that, not you. So now it takes a little time to get there. But the point is recognizing respect is there. Even when correcting, respect still remains because super soul is within. But at the same time, we do the needful. We don't walk on eggshells. Particularly, I don't hire devotees as a result because I have to walk on eggshells, right? Vaishnava parad, this, that. It's like, oh, I want to be able to shout and yell, be in a bad mood and not be worried, right? Honestly, because that's what you do. Work is like a battlefield. And if I'm in a bad mood, I don't have to think, I'm like, get this done. I'm like, oh, please, Prabhuji, can you please get this done if you so desire? No. I can't talk in that language at work, right? So I'd rather work with people who I'm like, I'm paying you for this, get it done, right? At the same time, not being so brutal that the other person is missing his birthday, or mother is in the hospital and I'm like, oh no, you'll have to work still, right? Balance. So that's why we have to be first Krishna conscious before we can apply these principles. Anybody has any questions so far? I'm surprised there are no questions, but if there are no questions, I'll keep moving forward. Okay. 1329, 1330. one who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. This body is made by material nature under the direction of supersoul. And whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body, with which he acts accordingly. Particularly speaking, the body is a machine. Particularly speaking, the body is a machine designed by Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer. This can be used as an excuse. Oh, that was my body doing, not me. So before we get into the misunderstanding, let's understand the correct understanding of it. The body, as given to us, is because of our past life's desires and activities. So what karma we had in our past, oh, I did this, I did that. And then whatever, we have Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri. Your birth, what family you're born in, Aishwarya, wealth, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, your education, Shri, good looks, right? Or bad looks. Whatever that is, all of that defines good or bad karma that has led to this. But one has a human body, that is enough, it's a good karma enough to have a human body. Now, the important thing to understand here is that this body has been given to fulfill those desires that we had at the time of death in our past life, as well as the karma. Now, this body is doing certain activities. What is it influenced by? Can somebody help me? What are these activities that we do? It's influenced by what?
Three modes of material nature.
Thank you very much. They're influenced by the three modes of material nature. And then the three modes influence the mind. The mind tells the intelligence, make it happen for me. The intelligence figures out the strategies and then tells the mind, here it is, here's the opportunity. Mind says, hey, senses, get to work. The senses get to work and boom, 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 things are happening. Now, notice that the soul has nothing to do here, no role to play here. The soul is not doing anything. Everybody is active. Mind, intelligence, the senses, the body, all of that is working. Everything is material. The soul is not awake yet. I once did a little drama, spontaneous drama with some of our Krishna House devotees in Chicago. And there we had each person representing each entity. So we had three people who were the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Raja, and Tama, Guna. We had the mind, we had the ego, we had the body, right? Each individual entities, and there was a soul. So the soul was sleeping the whole time, right? And the three modes are poking the mind. Hey, I want ice cream. Oh, I want to watch some movie. Oh, let's go for a walk, right? Or let's do some charity, mode of goodness. So different modes are saying different things. And the mind is like, okay, let's do this. Senses are doing that. And the soul is sleeping. It's very visual. It was very nice. They all got the concept after that. And then there was suddenly Harinam Sankirtan happening. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the soul wakes up. Oh, Krishna, yes. So that's when the soul is ignited. Otherwise, the soul is sleeping. You're actually sleeping. And the body and the mind and the ego and all of this is just doing action, reaction, karma. But as soon as Krishna consciousness is injected, the soul wakes up. And then if we take action into Krishna consciousness, slowly, the soul is activated. More spiritual activities happen, the more soul is activated. and the material mind is transformed. The intelligence, the material intelligence transformed to spiritual intelligence. The senses are brought to control, and then the spirit takes over. I want Krishna. Ooh, never did I ever think of that. I want Krishna. And from there, slowly, strategize, intelligence, strategize how to get Krishna, how to serve Krishna, how to use this opportunity to remember Krishna, how to use the opportunity to make Krishna consciousness available to others. And boom, 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 spiritual activity start because the soul is activated. Before that, the soul was sleeping, right? In various Upanishads, it's described like a bird that is moving from one branch of the tree to another branch of the tree. Here is a fruit. Okay, fruit of activities, right? Here is a fruit. Oh, I'm done eating this fruit. Let me go to the next branch. Here's another fruit. And there is a witness bird, which is super soul. It is witnessing that bird and waiting. When will that bird look at me? And the bird keeps moving from one fruit to another fruit, one branch to another branch. When the whole tree is done with giving all the fruit, then it moves on to the next tree. That means another birth, right? Another body. And the super soul flies down to the next tree and is again waiting, witness bird. When will it look at me? And finally, when the soul is awakened, that's when it looks at the super soul. Oh, my dear Father, you are always here, supporting me, helping me, doing everything. And I'd never even noticed you. We start noticing super soul. We start noticing Krishna's presence, right? That's how slowly, our Krishna conscious journey starts. So this is what this verse means. Please don't see it as like the body is doing it. I don't know. My soul is asleep. Don't blame me for it, right? No. Awaken your soul. That is what this is about, right? The soul is not awake. Yes, the body, mind, senses, they're doing everything. Okay. With this understanding, we will read it again. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So actually sees means seeing things as it is, like Bhagavad Gita as it is. So seeing things from a spiritual version, when we see someone who's committing an offense, a thief, or a terrorist, or a whatever, or a philanthropist, or whoever, but materialist, a spiritual person can see what they're doing, the action, reaction are on the bodily platform, right? And accordingly, we separate the person from the behavior. The person is divine, part and parcel of Krishna. But the activity coming out of the body, mind, ego, intelligence is material and superficial. Any questions so far? Anybody lost?
Yes, Prabhuji, it was a bit confusing. So when you said like the soul sleeps and the mind and intelligence just goes by action reaction and it just goes like that. So does that mean like mind has consciousness of its own?
The battery of consciousness is the soul. The soul is not activated. The mind becomes active like a software, right? A software is activated based on the operating system.
Mm-hmm.
So the software, you have apps and everything running on the operating system. Does the app, can it exist on its own? No. But it does its function because the operating system exists. So consciousness exists. That's why the mind is able to do what it's doing. But it's not the conscious being who is doing anything.
It's just
unless it is spiritual activities.
So it is a pre-programmed thing.
It's not pre-programmed. It is action, reaction, desires, thoughts, all of that happening based on the fact that you're a conscious being. But the self is not acting. Like the soul wants only Krishna. The fish only wants water.
Mm-hmm.
The fish is active in water. The fish is not active in ice cream or alcohol, right? Mm-hmm. So similarly, the soul only wants Krishna. Mm-hmm. But when the soul is covered by mind, intelligence, and ego, the soul is asleep. Mind, intelligence, ego, looking at the material world, want to interact with it, happiness, distress, and that's the automated process. When the soul wakes up, it's like, where is my father? Where is Krishna? That's where spiritual knowledge begins. That's why we first give Harinam to people. We give them prasadam. We let them hear the holy name. We let them eat prasadam. That way the soul gets activated. As soon as the soul activates, then we can start the preaching process. I mean, if you guys were coming and meeting here, at my residence and learning philosophy Friday and eating prasadam every Friday, I promise you, you would be growing in leaps and bounds in Krishna consciousness. But I'm not able to feed you prasadam. So our growth is a little slow. But in preaching, this is really the secret sauce. The philosophy might or might not make sense, but the prasadam at the end is what really goes inside and brings out the Krishna consciousness. I have seen that over my last 15, 16 years that I've been doing this. So does that answer your question, Prash?
Yes, Prabhuji. So just so I understand, so you said like it's action reaction in the interaction with material, the world, right?
It's automation like AI.
Yeah, that's what I was going. So that's why I said it's programmed to be that way unless the soul interferes and just changes its direction.
See, it's programmed that way. When you say it, then it's like Krishna has made us that way. It's not.
Okay.
I don't want to say it's programmed that way. It is programming itself as it goes along, like artificial intelligence.
Makes sense.
Based on the feedback from their circumstances and the three modes of nature's influence. It's programming it as it goes along. That thing has to be broken, and that's what devotees are for. We come and break that cycle, and we wake up the soul, and we say, here is Krishna. Some people will say, here is Krishna. Some people will slowly, gently bring them to Krishna. But point is, that's what we do. We break that cycle.
Okay, makes sense. And speaking of prasadam, I heard Prabhupada made great halwas.
Yes. Almost every devotee who has spoken to Prabhupada disciple, they said, why did they come to Krishna consciousness? 9 out of 10 halwa, 1 out of 10 gulab jamun. Literally. Okay. Any other questions?
Prabhuji, I have a question, but it was similar to Prayash Prabhu's question. So, which is, you get a lot of information, you get a lot of input from the material nature, right? I mean, you say, I want to eat ice cream, I want to go running, I want to sleep. And with Krishna's given us a free will to decide, right? So how is it when you say when the soul is sleeping, how can you decide when the soul sleeps? You are still making the
mind is deciding. The mind is deciding. The mind is accept, reject. That's the mind's job.
So when you say, spiritually awaken and then, you make a decision, does that mean that you're consciously making a decision to chant so many times or go to the temple so many times? Is that the difference? Because no, I mean, either way you are making a decision, right? So it is a conscious decision, right?
So consciousness is there. You're not dead. You're conscious in the sense that the mind, there's a difference between spiritually conscious and materially conscious.
Oh, okay.
You can be very conscious materially and make the most out of your life and still be a loser at the time of death. Or you can be spiritually conscious and be materially conscious and make the most of both the worlds.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, now it makes sense. So you're conscious either way, but you have to be spiritually conscious and make a decision towards that. So that, yeah.
Let me give you a more vivid example so it makes more sense. A driver driving a car, awake or asleep. Now awake, he knows where to put the steering wheel. But asleep, he's just asleep. His hand might move this way because of gravity, and the car might move this way and go crash in a tree. There's a difference between the two. One is a conscious decision. I want to take my car in the direction. The other one is, I'm just going with the flow. Life is good. What is success? Oh, I want to be good, do good for others. No clarity, right?
Like you say, only then go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Yeah. Dead fish, go with the flow. Live fish sometimes go against the flow. And in Krishna consciousness, almost everything we do is against the flow. From being a vegetarian to chanting Hare Krishna to following the 4 regulative principles, everything is like people would be like, you guys are crazy. How do you have fun? That's what people think. But we actually are the ones having fun. Anyway, okay, any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So I have a question, like when we say that the soul is asleep, but a few verses back we read that soul is the knower of the field, right? So it is taking the notes on what we are performing, good or bad.
No, that's super soul.
That is super soul. Okay.
That is super
So
soul.
knower, if we call the soul as knower of the field, so are we telling that whenever we are spiritually conscious, only then it knows?
It knows so much more, right? So knower of the field, when it's materially conscious, it's just conscious. It knows my heart is beating, my nose is itching, something else, mosquitoes on my feet, that much. But when it's spiritually conscious, guess what? You can hear super soul talking to you. You can see the divinity in others. A whole different world opens up. That's a whole different level of consciousness, Chandrima.
Okay. So which
So the
means
consciousness of a soul sleeping spiritually, materially awake, and the soul being spiritually awake is hell and heaven difference.
Okay. So here we are referring it is spiritually asleep.
Spiritually.
Okay. Yeah.
And there is no question of being materially awake as such, because soul is purely spiritual, Satchit Ananda. So all it is consciousness at that point, where the mind is active. The mind is doing all the material activity. The mind is material by nature. The soul doesn't know material things. It's just the battery power of consciousness provided to the mind to do all the activities that the mind wants to do materially. When the soul is active spiritually, then it takes the mind under its grasp, the intelligence under its grasp, the senses under its grasp, and takes it in the direction of Krishna.
Yeah. Clear, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Sumit.
Prabhu, I have a silly question, in fact. So you mentioned that you always prefer to hire a non-devotee rather than a devotee, but being in Krishna consciousness. So I just would like to understand, pardon my ignorance, that being in when actually one comes in Krishna consciousness, so isn't it actually unfair practice of hiring a non-devotee than using the material or practicing the material way in the business side, even if it is he is spiritually understanding what exactly good is, what is good, what is bad. So that is where my duality is, Prabhu.
I didn't understand your question.
Prabhu, okay. Say for example, let me take your example. You said you are in Krishna consciousness, but you prefer to hire a non-devotee because you are paying him and you would like to get the work done the way it is, and you can actually use any kind of a language or a word or whatever actually to get the work
That's
done.
not what I do. Please don't get me wrong.
That is where
Very
my
carefully I
duality is.
said respect from within,
Okay.
but a sense of distance in the outside. So they have slight bit of fear and intimidation. That doesn't mean I use bad words or bad language or cross my limits. Never.
Okay. So
Now go ahead.
Prabhu, in this case, maybe you, okay, as a person in particular, you may not be doing it, may not be practicing that. But what my point is, say for example, let me take my example. So let me give you my background. Actually, I used to work in a corporate and was in sales, where a lot of nonsense practices used to happen, all unparalleled to the 4 regulative principles. When I came to Krishna consciousness, so practicing the Krishna consciousness, being in the business, it was very difficult, because practicing those, basically maintaining those regulative principles was very difficult. Telling lie was the primary thing which we used to say or we used to do. So that is where actually my conflict is, or duality is, basically when you mentioned that statement.
I'm still not clear about your question because you mentioned multiple things. but let me try anyway to approach this.
Let me give you, okay. Allow me one last chance.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Being in Krishna consciousness, one person, how he will deal or he will keep the Krishna consciousness in practice in the business, not on the spiritual
Carry
side,
Krishna
not
in the
on the
heart.
home. Or
The short answer is carry Krishna in the heart.
that
If
is
I am
there.
Krishna, hold on. You don't know what that means.
Okay.
It doesn't mean Krishna is always in the heart, but carrying
Mhm.
Krishna in the heart means being Krishna conscious. So let's say I am dealing with somebody. This is a real, let me give a real example. Two of my employees decided to do drugs. One of them being the son of a vice president of a ISKCON temple, devotee from birth, basically.
Mhm.
They were doing drugs in one of my company guest houses, staying in my property, which is in my name, doing drugs. Before they came into my office, I first prepared myself that I have to do the needful, at the same time, be respectful and be Krishna conscious.
Okay.
I called my mentor before that, just to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Because I'm dealing with one person who's a devotee, the other person who's a non-devotee or aspiring devotee, you can say.
Okay.
Both are chanting, but they were caught doing drugs. Not just drugs, but sex parties and everything else that you can imagine.
Mhm.
And then this was happening in a place where there's rape culture and all that. So point is, I had to be very, very strict. Now, carrying Krishna in the heart, that means, my dear Krishna, please allow me to treat them respectfully, at the same time, do my duty as a boss and protect my company and myself also.
Mhm.
We had a conversation heart to heart. They lied to me flat out on my face. I brought in evidences, then they started crying in front of me. After that, they went away. They wrote a letter, apology letter to me. I gave them option that you can choose to work for me, but under these circumstances, and you have to sign this document with under probation, or you can find another job. One person decided to leave, one person decided to stay. Right? Now, in any of this was a very difficult exercise for me. I hate firing people. But in this process, it was very hard for me. But there was a balance. There was respect. There was clear communication. And there was a sense of love that was there. I wanted them to feel that love also. Right?
Mhm.
Because as a boss, as an employer, so that there's a difference between a devotee employer and a non-devotee employer. Right? So in this case, I was caring. I said, if you want to work somewhere else, I will write you a recommendation letter and I'll help you find you a different job. But if you work in my company and you're staying in my premises, you can't do certain things that are illegal.
Great.
You understand the difference? So I am strict. I'm also loving, and both are going hand in hand. This requires maturity. Now, why did I say I don't want to hire devotees? I'll tell you why. Because most devotees are very immature. Very immature. Most devotees in ISKCON. Here is the maturity. They start seeing everything as Krishna's property, and they get the impression, well, then I can break anything. I can do anything. It doesn't matter. Oh, this is all material stuff. They see work as material activities. So they become lazy. Most devotees I see, they see it like, oh, it's okay. Chanting is more important. I'll take break for Janmashtami. I'll take break for Now, we are devotees and we have festivals every month. Now, if you really start taking days off on every festival day, guess what? You will not be working at least, 4 or 5 days a month.
Yeah, 100 days a year.
Plus weekends. I can't afford that. I'm doing disservice to my job. So I don't hire devotees as a result, because there's always an excuse. I can't say no, don't go to Janmashtami. I can't say no, oh, I have deity worship. I can't say no to that. Now I'm paying you for the day, but you're not doing my work. So I'm being irresponsible as an owner. And that is, one might say, but this is devotional service. No, it's not. Ramachandra very clearly, Lord Ram, that's why, he so beautifully showcased his character as a leader, as a ruler, that what it takes to be in that position. I'm not saying I'm a king, but in our little fields of activities, we are all kings in our little places. We have some place of control, and we have to be careful not to be emotional and be like, oh, it's a devotee. And, no, we can't be. We have a duty, we have a goal, and we have a service. I'll give you another example. I was in Northwestern University. We were starting Krishna Lunch. This was, what became ISKCON Chicago's largest revenue source. There was one brahmachari. He was a loose cannon. Basically, what means is like he doesn't listen to anyone. I was in charge of Krishna Lunch, and I told him, don't bother people. If they want to have lunch, let them come. Don't bother people. And he kept on going and bothering people, taking open boxes and showing to people, come, pushing people. You will see with book distributions and people do that. They bother people at airports. I don't like that. We shouldn't do that. But this person was doing it, and he's brahmachari. I'm not. So I was feeling that hesitation not to say anything to him. I gently told him, let people come to us. When I went to my mentor and I told what happened, he was temple president. He yelled at me. He said, it's your bloody duty to make sure that people don't perceive ISKCON in a negative light. So what? He's a brahmachari. You're the one in charge. It's your duty to make sure. If he was doing that, you should have grabbed those boxes from his hands and put it down and told him to go sit in the car. I was like, really? I could do that? You're devotee? Apparently so. Okay, I learned life lesson. When I'm in charge of a service, it better happen in such a way that, we have to do the needful.
Did you do that?
No, I mean, he didn't do that again. I didn't bring him, but that was my learning.
Yes.
Now, there has been other services where I'm in charge and things are not happening, and I put my foot down. Hey, you can't do this.
Yes. Prabhu, I'm sorry, I have two more probing questions.
Sure.
One statement you made that ISKCON devotees, or maybe when it comes to the work, they are immature. What exactly you mean with this? Is it immaturity in
Misunderstanding of
terms of
scriptures? Misunderstanding of scriptures.
Okay. No. Okay.
For example,
Help me
there was a
understand.
brahmachari who used to bang the cars. He's driving an ISKCON car, hard earned by the temple money. And anytime he would rash drive and get ding here and ding there. And when he was asked, he's like, what does it matter? It's all material anyway. Later on, he matured and he realized it's all Krishna's property. I should protect it with my life and soul.
Yes.
So there's a difference where you think everything is material, so it doesn't matter, versus everything is material, so it's Krishna's, so it all matters. Most devotees are not there yet. So seeing your work as worship, most devotees are not there yet. So they don't give the 100% at work. You see, most devotees are stuck at middle management or IT job, no promotion. They're not stellar workers because they think that is material work. Oh, it's non-devotee association. Oh, I will not go to social, activities. And they don't move up in the corporate ladder. What does that mean? Hare Krishnas are average, mediocre people. That's the brand we are creating for ourselves. It's immature.
So rightly pointed out, Prabhu. Prabhu, when you said immature in terms of delivering the material work or the spiritual
Immature
service?
in terms of understanding of scriptures.
Okay. So that means actually it is impacting both sides, like spiritual as well as material side of it.
Yes.
Oh.
In fact, for me, let's say hiring new people who are not devotees is actually spiritually more efficient. You know why? Because newer people are getting access to Krishna consciousness. When they see me, they have no other option but to get exposed to Krishna consciousness. So guess what? More devotees, happy devotees.
Great, Prabhu.
Okay. Any other questions anybody has?
Prabhuji, has this ever happened? A new devotee, like being immature, like got engaged in nihilistic activities?
Got engaged in?
In nihilistic activities like this, this is nothing matters, and I'll destroy things.
Yes. There was one person who took away bench, those benches in the parks. He actually unscrewed one of those benches and brought it to the temple and put it in front of the temple. And when the temple president asked him, like, what is this? Where did you bring it from? It's like, from the park. It's like, why did you bring it? It's like, oh, it's Krishna's property anyway. It's like, no, it's the government's property. Yes, it's Krishna's property, but most is government's property and you're stealing. Please go return it. No, it's Krishna's property. I can bring it to the temple. Krishna Govinda. There was another person who would stand in front of the temple, and any walking person, he would say, can you say Haribol? Can you say Haribol? So these are immaturities, right? The intention is in the right place. They're not wrong also, but it's very immature.
So more often you have
a bad impression of Krishna consciousness.
Yes. So more often you have witnessed it in Western world or
Prabhu,
India?
everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'll give you another example. This is in London. Devotees are lining up to meet with me. And these are people much older than me, 40, 45-year-old people, right? Prabhu, we want to start a business, devotee business. I'm like, oh, okay, great. What kind of business? Krishi Go Raksha. You know, every person coming, either cow dung or incense sticks, or they want to do something with organic farming. And these are all IT people. I'm like, when is the last time you grew something? When is the last time you saw a cow? When is the last time you actually like did something with the field? No experience. I'm like, and you think for 20 years, 25 years of experience with IT, and then suddenly you jump into this and you'll succeed, right? I mean, you could build an app and align it with Krishna consciousness. That would be more in. So this is immaturity again. Krishi Goraksha, right? If you do business, you can't do anything beyond cows and agriculture. Do you see the difference here? Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure.
I have parked my second question. In the end, I will ask you.
No, ask now only.
No, please carry on. No, I have a second question, Prabhu. I told
Okay, you hold on. Let me see if others have any questions.
Yes, please.
Pradeep Prabhu, I have to ask you. I know that. Unless I ask, you won't.
Yes, Prabhuji. So one question I was having, but it was answered in between, that although the soul is sleeping and mind is doing everything, so even though it will add to karma?
Yes.
Okay. So
because you're conscious. You might be spiritually asleep, but you're conscious, and the consciousness is empowering the mind. So for example, if you don't know that you should be driving on the left side of the road and you drive on the wrong side of the road, will the police catch you? Yes. It doesn't matter that you didn't know. So it's our duty to find out what is the law. It's our duty to read the Gita.
So rightly said, it's our duty to read scriptures first.
Correct. Or at least find out what is it, how should I live my life? You might not read scriptures, you might find a guru, you might find someone who knows. And once you know, then do it that way.
Yes, definitely, Prabhuji.
Okay, any other burning questions? The Matajis are quite silent. Ragni Mataji, never ask any question. You read so beautifully.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I already asked you a question in chat box. I think it's out of the box.
Okay. Let me quickly check. Hare Krishna, this is out of the box question. Why people will say cat is bad omen? Okay. Does it affect to Krishna consciousness people too? Please explain me, Prabhuji. No, Mataji, it does not affect Krishna conscious people. Now, okay, there is a caveat. Cat is bad omen. I don't know about that, but black cat crossing the street, I have heard, is what people say is a bad omen. But as far as I know, it's a Western idea. Again, I have not heard scriptural reference to it. But there are certain things that are bad omen that are given in the scriptures, right? If you see the Battle of Kurukshetra, there are examples of, I think, eagles flying or things like that. Ramayana also, sorry, not Mahabharata, not so much, but Ramayana, these examples are given, the omens, and they are true. Now, to the degree you're Krishna conscious, to that degree, it doesn't impact you. And to the degree you're not Krishna conscious, so you have to be aware. For a pure devotee, none of these affect, because they're beyond all that. But for one who's not a pure devotee, it might have some impact. So better to be cautious. And if you see something that's a bad omen, my dear Krishna, if you so desire, please protect me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And wear this Kantimala, it will protect you from most things that are bad.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can you give some examples of bad omens from scripture?
I have to remember, hold on. Akshat is asking, we have to link everything to Krishna and then Krishna will wake us up. Am I right? Well, by the mercy of a devotee, we are woken up. Right? So somebody from outside says Hare Krishna, or gives us prasadam, or takes us to the temple, or connects us with a sadhu, or however, but it's a devotee who wakes us up. And by the devotee's mercy, we are able to move forward in Krishna consciousness. Or we learn how to link things with Krishna. Okay, Prayash was asking something. Oh, bad omen in Krishna consciousness. You know, I have to go back to Ramayana again. I remember the good omens. Eagles flying above head, that one I remember very clearly. Yeah, I can't remember the bad omens. I have to ask my Ramayana expert. My best friend is a Ramayana expert. I'll ask him, find out for you. Shayan, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I had one question that yesterday I was involved in a debate with my friend, because he is giving me one reason that in Bhagavad Gita, what we are currently reading in chapter 16, it is mentioned that how much you earn in a month, only 50% of that income has to be give to charity purpose, right? So he said that
No.
isn't it bullshit thing? You are earning money, and 50% of that you are
That's not true. That's inaccurate.
So I failed to give justification to that.
That's inaccurate. That's not even what Bhagavad Gita says. That's inaccurate. Where did you find in 16th chapter?
Chapter 16, text 1.
Krishna says that, or Prabhupada's purport says that?
Chapter 16, purport 16, 1 to 3. Text 1 to 3. So I failed to
Hold
give.
on. Let's go there. Chapter
16, 1 to 3 text.
1 to 3. Okay. So clearly Krishna doesn't say that here, right? Now Prabhupada is speaking, giving an example of Rupa Goswami. Now Rupa Goswami, when did he do that? When he was joining the monastic order of life. When he was becoming a sannyasi, Rupa Goswami gave away 50% of his wealth to charity for Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, 25% for his urgent emergency needs, and 25% for other needs. And Rupa Goswami's example is for those kinds of personalities who are giving up all materialistic activities and they're going for monastic order of life. That means sannyas. So at that point, yes, of course. Right?
Okay.
Now, somebody wants to be like, I'm a grihastha, but I want to take it to that level. Sure, go for it. But that's not required for grihasthas.
Okay.
And Krishna is not saying it. Please understand. That is in the purport. Prabhupada is giving example of Rupa Goswami.
Okay.
Krishna is saying charity. The charity is absolutely important. For a grihastha maintains the brahmanas, the kshatriyas, the shudras. Sorry. The grihasthas, sorry, my apologies. The grihasthas maintain the brahmacharis. The grihasthas maintain the sannyasis. The grihasthas maintain the vanaprasthis. That's how our society is built. So brahmacharis are students. They have to be maintained by the grihasthas. The sannyasis, they're not earning. They beg. They have to be maintained. So grihasthas are the only earning members. So charity, if grihasthas don't do, all these other varnas will fall apart. So it is absolutely required that grihasthas do it, but charity should be done in the right spirit. You should know who to give charity to, not to somebody who will take that money and go do drugs. There's a right time, place, and circumstance for it. Okay, it is 8:30. So anybody wants to leave can leave. I will continue with Q&A for those who want to keep asking questions. Okay, go ahead. It doesn't answer your question, Shayan?
Yes, Prabhuji, I understood the difference, what they are arguing and what you have explained.
Good. All right. Harsh, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I also wanted to follow up with the last question only. So since I am a fresher currently, so like what is the recommended percentage that I should be looking forward to like for these kind of purposes like donation and all? Because I am very new to this and I don't know.
Anything you want, you can give. After all your expenses, your savings, if you have something remaining and you feel like even 200 rupees a month, I want to give to temple, Krishna is not poor. He's not dying
Yeah,
for your money. He
correct.
sees your intent.
Yes.
So if your
Yes.
intent is Krishna, at this stage, early in my career, this is all I have. And I'm giving this to you out of love. Right?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good enough.
Thank
Whatever
you.
it is.
Thank you.
Even better than giving Krishna is giving to a Vaishnava, like a sannyasi or somebody like that, or a guru, right? That is even more. Krishna is more pleased that you giving it to his devotee. So, but either way, point is giving in charity is one of our primary things that we do as earning members of society.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, I'll come back to Sumit Prabhu for your second question and then we'll call it a day.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for giving this. Now, Prabhu, you mentioned we should do whatever actually we do, keeping Krishna in our heart. So with that, the question is I am just doing the role interchange where you had a difficult situation with your two devotees. So in my case, what happened is, say for example, let me give you the clear background what exactly is happening. So in sales, the salesperson is supposed to take the customers out for a dinner, drinks, and whatnot, okay, to please the customer. Like drinks is like boozing, which is against unparalleled to the regulative principle. Meat eating,
Prabhu,
smoking,
keep the question to the point. I understand what you're saying.
okay.
Yeah.
So now when I being a Krishna consciousness, or started following the Krishna consciousness, how do we actually practice those? That's what my question was.
Yeah, it takes intelligence in any such situation to do it. You don't drink. So breaking the regulative principle is when you are drinking and eating meat and all of that. If others are doing it, that's not your choice. That's their choice. You can always say, I don't eat all this, but you enjoy yourself and we are here having conversation over sales and whatnot. I have done that so many times. People drink whatever, they eat whatever, I don't give a damn. I am there with them. I'm not eating or drinking what they're eating and drinking. That's the best you can do in a professional setting.
Prabhuji, I have a question related to this. So
Hold on. I don't know if Sumit Prabhu is done.
Okay.
No, thank you, Prabhu. The situation was different. Anyway, I'll come back to you later, Prabhu. I'll just give it I would like to give it a rest. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for the answer.
Yes, Prayash.
Yes, Prabhuji. So I don't drink, I don't take non-veg food, but let's say I'm going with one of my friends, like he's a non-vegetarian. So and I am the person who likes to pay for things, right? So what's your thought process on
I
that?
very
Like,
blatantly don't pay for non-veg food.
I also, Prabhuji. So
yeah, so I'm like, hey guys, I'll pay for the rest of it, but you guys, so yeah, I do that if they're close friends. But yeah, I generally don't. Also, I have a social status where I can do what I want and people don't mind. But in other cases, I understand that might not be the case. So better is just kind of paying part of it and being like, hey, due to my, I don't support, cruelty to animals. So as a result, I will not take the karma of,
killing an animal.
meat and whatnot. Yeah. You can
Just
do it in a very gentle
Prabhu.
way that everybody can appreciate, and you're not looking like a religious fanatic.
But Prabhu, what is
Okay,
the dark
Prabhu.
side of it? People are thrown out of the clan because you don't belong to this. That's where it happens.
Not
That's
true,
the sad
Prabhu.
part.
That's the thing, na? You have to be gentle about it. If you make them feel bad, oh, you're a meat eater. Look at me, I'm a vegetarian. I'm better than you. Then
It
you're
happens
causing a bad.
it happens other way around. People say, "Oh, you don't drink, you don't eat meat. What the hell you are doing here? Go get lost." It's like that.
Again, it's a personality development question. It's not a Krishna
Yes,
conscious question. I'll tell
yes,
you,
yes.
I am
Yes, yes.
respected for it.
Yes.
Initially, people laugh at me. Yes, you're right.
Mhm.
Like, you're a young man earning money. Why? What you not doing? Then the next thing you know, they're questioning. At such a young age, he has so much control on his life. Why aren't we doing this?
Mhm.
Because the conversation that I'm having about my work is clearly indicating to them, I'm an intelligent person, I'm good at what I do, and I am still choosing to not do those things. So they can't discount me. And that's why it's important to be good at your work. It is important to be materially also, be
Yes.
skillful, right? Ishopanishad is teaching us material and spiritual going hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. You have a material body, so you have to do the material thing also. So when they understand, they value you materially, they will never discount you. But if you're only doing the spiritual rules and regulations and materially you're so, then they
Yes.
can afford to discount you. Otherwise, they can't afford to do a dinner without you because you're the core person. So we have to work extra hard to be materially good and spiritually good.
Yes. Nice explanation, Prabhu. That helped me. In fact, what you are saying now, actually, it has. I have already done that, and it has helped me a lot. Thank you, Prabhu.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shayan, you have another question? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just continuation with the previous question. So, don't you think that it takes time to get a validation from the other people? For example, suddenly you are saying that I'm not supporting that cruelty, or maybe I'll not drink, something like that. So then it takes time, basically, I think, to understand that I am a kind of a person who are, you know, walking in the spiritual path right now, and I don't.
So don't give it a spiritual brand, because in India, people don't value
Mhm.
spirituality.
Yes, that's
So
what.
don't give it a spiritual brand, give it a social brand. So
Okay.
when you're doing this as a fresher, as a newcomer, do it like speak in I statements, not putting anybody down. It's like, hey, you know what? I have a lifestyle of karma-free lifestyle, or I have a yoga lifestyle, and I don't do all these things because, that's what I follow. So when you say yoga lifestyle, instantly it has a good branding, a feel-good factor. It's for health. It's for
Hmm.
your, social status and everything else. So people start respecting you. Oh, yoga lifestyle. Like in the
Hmm.
West, I would say yoga food or karma-free food. Oh, what is that? I want to follow it too. Many people my colleagues have become, they have stopped eating onion garlic chocolates and all of that thing because, or caffeine even, because yoga friendly. Oh, I see the difference. I'd rather follow this. That's what happens. But yes, again, you have to be very good at what you do. Only then people value your other things. If you're just following rules and regulations and materially you're not very sound, they don't validate you. Don't look
Hmm.
for people's validation anyway, but always be like, this is my choice and I am doing this. I don't mind you guys doing it. So please feel free to eat, drink, whatever you want. Let me be myself and I'm comfortable with this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'll read Shivani Singh. She's asking, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, how can we make difference between our choices and what Krishna does to us? I don't understand the question, Mataji. What Krishna does to us, as in what? You can unmute yourself and ask if you like. Acha, maybe you're asking how, so difference in our choice versus what Krishna wants us to do. And that's why we need a mentor or a spiritual master or a guide, somebody who understands the scriptures and can guide us through scripturally and help us understand what is it that Krishna's goal is for us and walk us through that path. Right? So you have to build a strong relationship with the person who's giving you Krishna consciousness. That's very, very important. Akshat is asking, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, it's a pleasure talking to you after a long break. Same here. Yogesh, I broke my leg 15 years ago after a black cat went my path. Yogesh, Prabhu, you're just being clumsy, that's all. Black cat has nothing to do with you breaking your leg. Maybe, I don't know. In your case, black magic and all, my God, I don't even want to get there. Harsh is saying, last night I saw a crow cawing at 1 a.m. I thought it's a bad omen. I started chanting Hare Krishna and today it was a good day. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Oh, Pradeep Prabhu, go ahead. Last question.
Prabhuji, on the same line of Sumit Prabhu's question, that when he is allowing his subordinates to for cracking a sale deal to have alcohol or non-veg, then he is to be blamed, isn't it? It will be added to his karma, right?
Partially.
Partially.
Because he's paying for it and he is also pushing in that direction. Sometimes people even send women, right? All kinds of things are done to close sales deals. Would a devotee entrepreneur do that? No. But dinner is a very common thing, and dinner means there is alcohol involved. And unfortunately, what can you do in certain situations? So we do lunches. Generally speaking, in lunch situation, people don't want to get drunk in the middle of the day, right? So there's always a way out. Krishna will give you intelligence. If you dharma rakshate rakshate, when you want to protect dharma, dharma will protect you. When you want to protect your principles, Krishna will give you the intelligence to protect your principles and seal the deal as well. Trust
so you
me.
have to be innovative.
You have to be innovative. That's the right word. You have to be creative. You have to be innovative, not disrespectful, but innovative. You'll find a way to do it.
Yes, definitely, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a good night.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.